Human trafficking is everywhere. It's a global problem. It's a national problem. It's a state problem, and it's a local problem. If you want to close our eyes on it, you're never going to find it because it's beneath the surface.
It's hard to understand how a human being can treat another human being like a commodity, like trash.
Human trafficking is a $32 billion a year enterprise. It is second only to drug trafficking. To begin to wrap your hands around that number, understand that in the last year that exceeded Apple, it exceeded Ford, it exceeded Exxon annually.
A drug, it's a one-time exchange. A weapon is a one-time exchange. A child or a person, you can use them over and over and over again.
I think most people believe that it does just happen in perhaps third world countries where people are not readily able to perhaps speak up for themselves.
It's a total fallacy to think that this is a foreign problem. It's not. It's our problem in Tampa, in Florida.
The reality is it happens here, in our own backyards.
In the Tampa Bay area, we see more U.S. citizens than we do foreign-born.
We've dealt with U.S. citizens that were children, that were adults. Some of them were forced into the commercial sex industry, and some of them were also forced into labor trafficking scenarios.
Florida is one of the largest hubs because we're a tourist destination.
With our beautiful world-renowned beaches, our seaports, our airports.
We have military bases. We have every sports franchise you can possibly imagine. We have the most beautiful hotels and convention centers.
The hotel industry, the restaurant industry, unfortunately with that comes the sex industry as well.
Hillsborough County has more strip clubs per capita than any other city in the United States.
We have more adult entertainment facilities than we have McDonald's in the Tri-County area. Just like anything else, the sex industry is a cross-section of society. We see a lot of strip clubs where they are legitimate, tax-paying, law-abiding citizens. And then you have the other clubs that are operating completely outside the law, where human trafficking does exist, where our employees are the ones that are actually forcing the girls into prostitution.
A lot of people think that it's only a certain demographic or it's only certain neighborhoods, or it's not, it's everywhere.
We have found victims in hotels, in trailers. We have found victims in houses that are worth $2.5 million. We have found victims in the kitchens of a Thai restaurant.
These traffickers are out there recruiting. They're in our communities, they're recruiting over the internet. They're just looking for that person that they can, they can control.
I was trafficked from the age of 10 till I was 17. The house I grew up in looked like a model home. The white picket fence, 4-bedroom, 2-bath with a pool. But inside that home, hell was going on.
My abuse started when I was 2, and it started with being sexually abused. And that continued until I was age approximately 16 years old. My father was my pimp. He said to me, this is what you are going to do. You're going to become a prostitute.
United States, between 100,000 and 300,000 American-born children are at risk each year for being exploited.
In Florida alone, we have between 30 and 40,000 runaways. Pimps, traffickers, which are from every single walk of life, they will find them. They're at places that runaways will normally go, but also the same places that our own children will go.
Runaways are very susceptible to trafficking because they were lacking something at home, which is why they ran away. And the traffickers prey on that void that they had at their home.
Within that 48 hours, once that trafficker approaches them, it only takes a trafficker 90 seconds to size up a girl or a boy in some cases and determine what that child needs. Does that child need attention? Does that child need a place to stay? Drugs? Does that child want a phone? So they begin building a relationship. That child begins to trust that person, and before they know it, they are whisked off into this world that they never imagined that they would be in.
They try to build that rapport with these children by bringing them into the fold and saying, I'm your family now, I have the means to take care of you, but I just need you to do this for me.
They're being forced to provide services to buyers. They're given quotas. They're being locked into rooms where they don't have any social contact at all with the rest of the world. They're being told that you're going to go out on the street tonight. You're going to go into a hotel room tonight. You're going to go into a car tonight, and you're going to provide these services.
And once that person is broken down psychologically, they never build them back up again. They keep breaking them down, and further until they become submissive.
The girls that are going through it, or girls, boys, whoever, they can't help themselves, because if they could, they would have been gone. So it has to go further than somebody just saying, well, why didn't you run? We run all the time, but we get caught.
Highly educated, very wealthy individuals have ended up with somebody in their home that the neighbors never even knew was there. They were not allowed to leave. They were often being sexually molested by the male head of household. Of course, they were not paid. You can't get any cheaper than, I pay you nothing, you're my slave.
Our organization worked on a case and assisted a woman. She was actually adopted from an orphanage in Haiti at the age of 9, was brought to the South Florida area. Here she thought she was gonna live the American life, go to school, live a normal childhood. And unfortunately that didn't happen. She was used to do all the cooking, the cleaning, the laundry. She wasn't allowed to use the bathroom. She would have to go outside, so she would urinate, defecate outside, and she would shower with a garden hose. She actually was not found until the age of 17. So 8 years of her life, she was the housemaid, the house slave.
It was not uncommon for him to drop me off on the causeway and someone picked me up on 60. Then it was called Municipal Beach, along that area, downtown Tampa, Ybor City. I became really great at removing myself, meaning my body was there, but I literally could take myself and really throw myself on the ceiling. And just kind of make that detachment so it'll be done, and I can go back home and crawl in bed and just kind of be by myself until I have to get up and go to school.
The health issues on individuals who have been trafficked in any form are devastating. You're exposed over and over again to abuse, and you're getting diseases, and it's not like if you get sick you're allowed to go get a health checkup. It's no life, and it is a formula for premature death.
You do a traffic stop on a car, you find a kilo of cocaine, that person's going to jail. It's pretty cut and dry. But you pull over a car and there's a male in there with a female, how are we going to know that that female is, unfortunately a victim of trafficking? We're not going to know. It requires training for law enforcement, specific training and understanding what you're looking at.
Probably the one thing that the community could do, if they see any sign, if they feel it in their gut that there's something amiss, to please report it.
Don't just sit there and say, well, it's none of my business. Make it your business, because you might be that one person that can help them escape the hell that they're living.
We have an obligation to each other as a society, as just human beings, to report things like that. And if you are wrong, what's the worst that's going to happen? You are wrong. But if you are right, you could save someone's life.
The society as a whole, they do not want this happening here. Nobody wants this happening to another human being.
The message has to get out there that we as Americans are not going to tolerate this. This is unacceptable. And once everyone says that, then this world problem will end.
We have to recognize the enormity of it, because it is fast approaching the #1 illegal trade in the world. At what cost of human life?